what do you propose to do as our acting chairman?
Well, I think you have to develop a core of lawyers who will help you evaluate all of these decisions. Just like in the Supreme Court, we have our law clerks who help us do the research on cases. You should have your own set of lawyers to do that for you. Or you can have a pool for everybody. And I will support that. If, and we can work out with the DBM that this be made into part of your plantilla. Because I think that's necessary. I think the best way really to find out the competence, integrity, probity, and independence of a person, if he's a judge already or a justice, is to look at his decisions. Because you will know whether he's competent in the law, whether he has favored any litigant, whether he has been independent vis-a-vis Congress or the executive or the LGUs. I think it's there. It's the track record of a person.
Thank you, Chief. That was my last question. I wish you luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Attorney Mayhap, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning po.
Good morning.
Justice Carpio. Alam po ninyo, I have been asked before about my thoughts on the impeachment that went on, and I mentioned that I think the impeachment was not only against the former Chief Justice Corona, but was an outburst of the frustrations, no, of the public with the judiciary. At I'm starting with this statement po kasi ang dami-dami pong tweeted that texted questions na mukhang ganito po yung isinasaad, no, ng damdamin ng publiko. Kaya po minarapat ko na paghaluin yung tanong ko, yung pinrepare, isa o dalawa sa mga questions that I prepared, and then siguro po kadamihan yung pong suggested questions at saka po isa o dalawa dun sa opposition para po mailahad ninyo ang inyong posisyon dito. The first question po that I have in mind is, what was it like for you during the entire episode of the impeachment trial?
Well, like everybody else, I was following it. But, you know, it was weird because in the court itself, we hardly discussed it. We did not discuss it in division meetings or even in the en banc. Why? Well, I said it's weird. That's how it happened. I would discuss it with my staff, but with the justices, we didn't discuss it, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think there is a remedy or venue available for the people who wish to proactively participate in the affairs of the state rather than wait for the legislature to fill in the gaps? No, I think this is reference po to the Lambino case.
Is a question regarding the people's right to amend the Constitution?
Opo, I would take it to mean that po.
Well, the people's initiative provision is there in the Constitution. It's a constitutional right of the people. And I think the people should exercise this right. But in exercising this right, the people should not be fooled into just signing something that they don't know. The people's initiative started in the United States, in several states there. And they have developed abundant jurisprudence which says if somebody goes to you and asks you to sign a people's initiative without showing you the actual provisions that they want, then that is fraudulent. You have to show them beforehand the actual provisions that they want to be written into the Constitution before they ask you to sign. And that's a well-settled jurisprudence in the years. That's why in my decision in Lambino, I said, and I asked Ms. Attorney Lambino during the oral arguments, did you show everybody who signed these documents, these sheets, did you show them the actual provisions that you wanted to be written into the Constitution? And he couldn't answer me. He said they printed a couple of maybe 100,000 copies of the changes to the Constitution, but they did not attach it to all of the sheets. So not all of the those who signed knew what they were signing. And for me, to change the Constitution in that process is bad. And it's not allowed because for the people must directly propose the amendment, which means that they must know what they are proposing. Either they write the amendments themselves or they concur to these amendments, which means that they were shown copies of the amendments.
Siguro pa babasahin ko itong mga tanong in group, no? Justice Carpio, paano mo ipapakita sa mga taong mahihirap na kasama kanila sa kanilang laban sa korupsyon? Isa pa po. Ano po ang hakbang na gagawin ninyo upang tiyakin na ang mahihirap ay may equal access sa services sa judiciary? Balita po kasi namin may elite background kayo.
Well, on the first issue of corruption in the judiciary, I suppose that's what they mean. Well, the first gatekeeper to ensure that those who enter the judiciary have integrity and probity is the JBC. Now, that's why I'm proposing that in appointments to the judiciary of people who seek promotion, we should look at the track record, whether they issued recklessly TROs, whether they clearly favored a litigant. That will be shown in their decisions. Now, of course, you do the regular checking with the NBI, police, and so on. But I think what is important is to look at their track record. Second, once they enter the judiciary, the gatekeeping function passes on to the Supreme Court. Right now, when there is a complaint against a judge, we create an ad hoc investigator. We name an investigator for that particular purpose only. And I think it's better to create permanent administrative tribunals because they serve as a deterrent. They are seen there as the body that will decide administrative complaints. And they can work faster because that is their job. So my proposal is to create permanent administrative tribunals to handle the complaints against judges. Now, with respect to the other question on access to justice by the poor, well, we have several programs already in place. Now, we continue to subsidize the IBP for their legal aid program, and we have exempted filing fees of clients of IBP legal aid offices. We have also exempted filing fees for clients of PAO if they are indigents. No? And we have this small claims court where it's very inexpensive to file your claims. So, and we have, in fact, also a new law that was authored by Senator Lapid on the free legal assistance to the poor. I have instructed our court attorney to prepare already to work out the implementing rules for this because we are tasked under that law to adopt implementing rules as far as the court is concerned.
Thank you po. Marami pong judges ang late sa kanilang hearing and even do not appear without notice, wasting people's money. What can you do about this?
Well, the Office of the Court Administrator has to be tasked to monitor those situations, no? And that will be solved, however, with the forthcoming case management system. Because in the case management system, it will show there the actual work, the incidents of a case. So judges cannot complain anymore. We cannot give excuses that they have so much cases, that they have they got sick and so on. Because at a glance, you can see the aging of cases, the caseload of a judge, the number of days he had hearings, the incidents that he decided on that case. So everything can be seen there by the executive judge and by the court administrator and even by the Chief Justice.
Siguro po last 2 or 3 questions, no? Babasahin ko na pong sabay ito. Yung isa po, yung opposition ni Mr. Dante Jimenez. Mr. Dante Jimenez is opposing your nomination because he will be, and I quote, he will be a biased Chief Justice because he represents the old boys club in the Supreme Court. Babasahin ko na rin po yung isa pong tweeted question, texted question. Pakitanong naman po kay Justice Carpio kung may impluensya ba ang Sigma Rho sa kanyang mga decisions.
Well, on the second question, in fact, I voted for the dismissal of a member of our fraternity, a Court of Appeals Justice, to be dismissed. I voted for the dismissal. And on the first question, on the complaint of Mr. Jimenez that we are an old boys club, I think the decisions of the court will show that we are not a club. We have heated discussions and we have strongly worded dissents against each other, and I don't see how we can become an old boys club. I mean, when it comes to judicial decisions, we fight very hard for our position. And I don't think, if we look friendly, it's because we have no choice. Your ally today in a case could be your enemy tomorrow, and your enemy today could be your ally tomorrow. So you have to be civil to each other, even as you fight each other. Because your opponent today could be your ally tomorrow. There are no permanent enemies in the court, no permanent friends. You have to stick to the issues, fight for the issues that you want.
Pong sa Sigma Rho. Pakitanong naman kung may impluensya ba ang Sigma Rho sa kanyang decision.
Well, I've answered that because the court dismissed Sigma Rho 1.
Okay.
And he was already a Court of Appeals judge. And I voted for the dismissal.
Okay. Sorry po, hindi ko na... Yeah. That's my final question po. Good luck, Justice Carpio. And
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Justice Lagman, please.
Very much, Mr. Chair. Justice Carpio, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Now, you have been with the court for more than 10 years already, and is the acting Chief Justice for 2 months. I think almost 2 months. Do you think it is fair for the judiciary to be receiving only more or less 1.25% of the national budget?
In other countries, they have fixed the budget of the judiciary at 2% of the national budget. And it seems that that would be the ideal. Our budget, they have said that our budget has doubled over the years, and it has doubled in absolute amounts. When I joined the court, the national budget was just a little less than 1 trillion. Now it's 2 trillion, so it has doubled. And our budget naturally has doubled because the doubling was caused by the doubling of the salaries of employees. In the last 6 years, the salaries of government employees have doubled across the board. So necessarily, the budget also almost doubled. But as a percentage of the national budget, the budget of the judiciary has declined. In 2011, our budget in the judiciary, total judiciary budget, was 1.36% of the national budget. This year, it is 1.21%. So the Constitution says that the budget of the judiciary shall not be reduced compared to the previous year. But does that mean that it will not be reduced in absolute amount, but as a percentage of the total national budget, it may be reduced? That's an open question, and I don't want to answer that because that could come before the court. But it's food for thought. Because the budget would necessarily have to adjust to inflation. If everything doubled, of course our budget will double. But has it actually increased in real terms?
Okay. Justice Carpio, now in this connection, do you have any proposal or do you have anything in mind as the acting Chief Justice in regard to budgetary reforms for the justice system?
Well, of course, I would like to see in the annual General Appropriations Act a program construction of our courthouses over the next 10 to 15 years. Because right now, only 20% of our first-level courts can be accommodated in halls of justice, and only 50% of our second-level courts can be accommodated in halls of justice. So we have a long way to go. But of course, I realize that government cannot, Congress cannot appropriate this at one time. So we have to budget this, program this over 10 to 15 years. As long as every year we construct something, that's, I'll be happy with that. But we have to make sure that we are addressing this problem, because the work conditions of judges is also important for their efficiency. So I would like to see that in our annual GAA, that we have a definite amount to fill up the shortage, because half of our first-level courts are not housed in halls of justice. They're scattered, they're leasing in some apartment even, or they're squatting in municipal offices.
Okay. My next point, Justice Carpio, is about the GLAC, the Judicial, Executive, Legislative, Advisory, and Consultative Council. Do you think there is a need to convene the GLAC to help address the problems of the justice system?
Yes, that body, the GLAC, is not in the Constitution, but it is also not prohibited. Now, that body is just a forum for the judiciary to propose to the executive how much it needs in the budget, and for the Congress to listen to that proposal. And I don't see a problem with that. And I think we need that, because we have to communicate to the executive what our budgetary requirements are. I remember during the time of Chief Justice Narvasa, I was then in the Malacanang as Chief Legal Counsel. Chief Justice Narvasa said, I want our budget proposal, our recommended budget proposal, be part of the budget proposal of the executive. If we are proposing 10 billion, the executive must propose 10 billion for the judiciary. I said, under the Constitution, it's the executive that proposes the ceiling of the budget. But we can ask your opinion. But we cannot adopt your recommendation because we are the ones who propose, the executive. The judiciary can only recommend. So our compromise was the executive will recommend the actual amount. If it differs with that of the judiciary, we will footnote the recommendation of the judiciary.
Okay.
That was the agreement. But I think a better way to do this is to create that body and to discuss these issues there directly with the President and with the President of the Senate and with the Speaker of the House. And that will be more efficient. Thank you.
So you think the GLAC can be an instrument in modernizing the justice system in our country?
Yes, I think that body will be great in bringing out the needs of the judiciary to the two other branches, because that's the only we can do. Because of the separation of powers, we cannot tell Congress how much to appropriate to us. The only thing they can do is they cannot bring our budget down compared to the previous year. We cannot also compel the executive to propose the budget that we want, that we have settled that already with Chief Justice Narvasa.
Yes.
So the best way really is to sit down. How much do we really need?
Okay. Now, Justice Carpio, yesterday, Justice Abad was here, and he stated that the impeachment of the former Chief Justice has wounded or damaged the judiciary. And he said that an insider could effectively lead the renewal of the court. Do you agree?
Well, on that first premise that the impeachment has wounded the judiciary, I'm not prepared to go to that extent. Okay. In fact, I have said that the impeachment was directed at a particular person, at a particular justice, and we are not affected, I mean, in terms of that impeachment. But I will not also deny that it has brought out problems about the judiciary, like the clogged dockets, corruption supposedly in the judiciary. And this has come out to the fore because of the impeachment.
Okay.
And we have to address this, because whether we like it or not, whether it's true or not, that's the perception of the people. The clogged dockets have a basis, although we are not to blame, because 80% of the cases pending in first and second level courts are criminal cases. And 40% of these criminal cases are drug cases. And in drug cases, the prosecution always asks for postponement because they don't have the witness, the forensic expert is not around, he has been transferred to another station, and there is no POW lawyer to defend the accused. These delays are not attributable to us, but we bear the blame because it's part of our docket. That's why I've discussed this with the justices, and I said, although we are not really to blame for this huge backlog in criminal cases, and this is really the cause of the backlog, we have to solve this because it affects us. And I have proposed that for criminal cases, before the information is filed in court, the prosecution must attach the affidavits of all his witnesses in question and answer form, so that when the hearing comes, when the trial comes, the witness will just affirm his affidavit and the cross-examination can start. And we cut down trial work by 1/2. If we cut down trial work by 1/2, chances are the prosecution witnesses like the police are still in that area ready to appear. But after a lapse of time, this police, the forensic expert are moved around, reassigned to other places, and maybe the other witnesses just disappear.
So, Justice Carpio, do you agree with the observation of some people that the impeachment has affected the cordial relationships of the judiciary with the other two political branches of government?
Well, I do not think so. When you say cordial relationship, I think you refer to the respect one shows to each other. That respect is there. It's very much there. I attended the SONA in representation of the judiciary because I have respect for the president. I have respect for the SONA process, which is there in the Constitution, which requires the president to address Congress at its opening session. While it may be a ceremony, it has a constitutional function. And I think the cordial relation is there.
Okay, my last question coming from me, Justice Carpio, is this. Past Chief Justices are remembered for the reforms they have instituted during their incumbency. Now, if you will be nominated and appointed as the next Chief Justice, can you please describe to us the face of a Carpio court?
Well, I would say that I would like the court to make the judiciary fair, honest, and efficient. And I would like to be remembered as one of those who helped make the court fair, honest, and efficient, because that will address the issue of the clogging of dockets, that will address the issue of corruption, and that will address the issue of fairness.
Okay. Now, if you will allow me, Justice Carpio, we received so many questions from the Twitter. I'll just ask you one or two. Okay, you have... Okay. Now, if you will be the next Chief Justice, should the 5-strike rule regarding the bar examinations, do you think there is a need to revisit the 5-strike rule regarding the bar examinations? Is it an effective mechanism to screen new lawyers?
Well, I'm in favor of the 5-strike rule. Because after 5 tries, I think maybe you should try something else.
Yeah.
But I say that because we have clerks of court in the first level courts who are not even law graduates. And there's a place for even those who flunk the bar. I mean, it's better to have a law graduate than somebody who has not taken up law studies at all to be a clerk of court in the first level courts.
Yes.
So I think after 5 tries, maybe you should work on something else, but still you can still use your legal learning, your knowledge of the law from law school.
Yes.
So I think not everybody can practice law. Not everybody who took up law can practice law because we have the bar exams. But they need not waste that learning. We can put it to productive use.
Now, there's so many questions, but this will be my last question from the Twitter. Okay. Now, Justice Carpio, what are the wrongdoings of the past Chief Justice that you won't do in case you get the post? And how would you change it?
Well, I think it was because of the son that he got impeached, the misdeclaration of the son. And I think I will never do that.
Okay. On that note, I have no more question for Justice Carpio. Thank you, Justice, and good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Justice Hermosissima, sir.